Hello, welcome back to Latte Hour. Today I wanted to go a little bit down the rabbit hole on reversing age. And this kind of stemmed from watching the interview between Joe Rogan and Terrence Howard, of how he said something interesting, that the closer a planet is to the sun, the more pressure it experiences. And he basically also said that we won't be able to live on Mars because we'd be expanded out too much because of the pressure is not enough. And so that kind of led me down looking into hyperbaric chambers. And I've done a lot of research lately, or I've done a lot of reading lately on age reversal. So that kind of clicked when he said it. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting, and how we're moving away from the sun by a very small distance every year. And so if we're moving away from the sun by a very small distance every year, then what is that pressure decrease on the planet, which must be, very small as well, if I had to guess. But anyways, so that got me again looking at age reversal. And so a lot of athletes, you may have heard, to aid in their post-workout recoveries, they might go and use the hyperbaric chamber or hyperbaric oxygen therapy, also known as HBOT. And so if you don't know about hyperbaric chambers, they're basically tanks or vessels that sit inside a room, and then inside the chamber the patients are sealed in, and then the pressure will be increased. Also, pure oxygen is delivered into the chamber, either just straight into the chamber, or now the safer method is to wear the mask to deliver the oxygen. That way you reduce the chances of a spark or the ignition of the pure oxygen. And so when you increase the pressure inside of the chamber and deliver pure oxygen, this allows the oxygen to enter the red blood cells and also the plasma, making a better, deeper delivery of the oxygen to the cells. Oxygen is known for being an anti-inflammatory, known for promoting healing, and studies have shown that the telomeres can be lengthened, effectively, quote unquote, reversing age through hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And so if you don't know, the telomeres are the end caps of your chromosomes, and with age these telomeres tend to shorten, and eventually the cell will no longer go through the cell cycle and will become senescent or die off. And so then it kind of led me further down the rabbit hole of how there was a guy by the name of Joseph de Toury. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he lived about 30 feet below the surface, underwater, for about 100 days in a vessel, one of those, I don't want to say submersible but one of those vessels that can withstand that pressure down there. And it was reported that his biological age had also decreased after being so far beneath the surface for so long amount of time. I never did get into the details of how they tested if his age decreased, but I'm guessing it has something to do with his telomere length. But nevertheless, as you might all know, the deeper you go underwater, the more pressure there is on you. So there's that pressure effect, and it doesn't he would have been having oxygen delivered, but I'm not sure it would have been 100% oxygen. It might have been just, your normal oxygen to sustain you being in that vessel. So yeah, not sure what type of oxygen that he received. So that brings me to, well, what can we do to increase our oxygen intake, knowing that we don't have a hyperbaric chamber, and that we don't have 100% oxygen tanks just lying around. So like, what can we do for a really inexpensive way to increase our oxygen? And so I'm really passionate about healing yourself through plants, especially because a lot of the early drug compounds were found in plants and isolated, and then more made to be more concentrated and all those things. So I believe that the healing is in plants. And so of course I looked up some plants that may be able to increase oxygen levels in your body, or just better help that oxygen to get where it needs to go. And so what I found, which is something that we've all known, but just to make sure, leafy green vegetables, right? Like kale or spinach. The chlorophyll there can help the oxygen get to where it needs to go. And so, the way you eat can help you to retain your youth. I'm not sure how much it will help reverse your youth or lengthen your telomeres. That's another thing to look into if you all have time. What plants may be able to increase your telomere length, right? Another food that I found that really makes my SpO2 go from like 98% to 99 or 100% is if I eat beets. And I know it's been said that this is something you should eat if you're going to run like really long marathons or stuff like that. And so I have found that works really well for me. And then also if I'm drinking some sort of concentrated green leaf like green tea, or matcha is the same thing as green tea, just a little more concentrated. It's the leaf bits crushed very finely, right? So things like that. I know some people do spirulina. I don't have a lot of experience with that, but I imagine it being that powder form that you could do a concentrated spirulina shot, and maybe that would be helpful too because of the concentration of the chlorophyll. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. In the field of science, they have been able to reverse the age of cells and reverse it all the way back to pluripotency, or kind of stem cell like. And so I always wonder, is there a plant that can do the same thing? Because they have methods to do it, but it's really complicated. And my thought is always that the answer is always the most simple answer. I think we humans overcomplicate things, but then again, that's one of Newton's laws, right? Everything moves towards entropy. And so yeah, I'm hoping that there are plants found to lengthen our telomeres and reverse our age. But until then, of course, my whole inquiry is looking for ways to reverse age without having to do a whole lot. So yeah, and of course, other diet and exercise may help maintain youthfulness. And so it's a very interesting field. I would encourage people to look more into it. But that was just something that has been in my mind lately, especially after seeing the Joe Rogan and Terrence Howard interview. And so two other things just before I get off of here. Recently I bought some beef from a grocery store, which I won't name, and it was the spongiest, stringiest beef, even to the touch. Before cooking it, it had like a very weird recoil to it. So I'm not sure what's going on in the meat industry, but I was pretty concerned with that because I hadn't bought natural beef in a very long time. I usually get organic, and so this texture was just pretty different from the organic texture, and just the fact that it had that spongy like recoil to it was pretty concerning. So comment down below if you guys noticed that. I actually ended up tasting one bite and I threw, after I cooked it, and then I threw the rest away. I was just like, this something's not right here. And then the last thing before I get out of here, I don't know where you all live, but where I live, the bunny population seems to be exploding. So I love bunnies, but I am not sure. I know bunnies are very proliferative, but it just seems like they are everywhere now. So I'm guessing their natural predator is not present in this ecosystem anymore, or this might be a bunny from another ecosystem, but I'm just seeing so many bunnies. So yeah, very interesting to see a bunny like on every corner, like 2 or 3 bunnies. So that's just something I noticed as well. But anyways, guys, as always, latte hour is not a full hour. Please, and use the rest of your hour to go look into something you've always wanted to look into. If age reversals are your thing, look into that. Comment down below what you find. Love to know, love to hear about it. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your latte or whatever nice, comforting drink that you're drinking, and we'll talk again. Bye now.